Hi, Pastor Nathan Decker with your hashtag Better Together devotion for today. And I've been focusing a whole lot on Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2. I want to talk a little bit today about kind of a meta narrative that's within the Genesis narrative. And that is this notion that the chaos that was at the very beginning, in the beginning when God created the heavens and the earth, the Spirit of God hovered over the waters of the deep, that is the chaos, that chaos never gets eliminated. God doesn't remove the chaos from our world and from our lives, but instead begins separating things out to try to organize them. So you got light and you got dark, you got land and you got water, you got birds in the air and you got fish in the sea. You've got all of these divisions, male and female even. And what happens in terms of the story as you see Adam and Eve leave the Garden of Eden is that chaos leaves with them into creation itself. And some of those very divisions begin now becoming things that are dividing humanity in negative ways. So the very first division that takes place is between Abel and Cain. Well, actually, between Adam and Eve, because they eat the fruit and they see themselves as naked and they see themselves as vulnerable and they divide themselves. They now cover themselves. And then you get the story of Cain and Abel who come to worship God, and Cain decides that Abel's gift seems to be more accepted by God, and Cain gets upset with Abel about this and murders him, creating a division between brothers, between siblings. And it is continual division. As you go through the story, even after the story of Noah and the ark and the flood, you get the Tower of Babel, and humanity divides. We get divided up into tribes and nations and languages. One of the ways of understanding the story of Genesis is a story of constant divisions and a story of constant separations and chaos continuing to negatively impact our world and our lives. Well, think about then the redeeming story of Jesus Christ and the church's redeeming story. Because Pentecost comes and Pentecost undoes the negative impacts of chaos in the midst of all of the languages being spoken. Now on Pentecost Sunday, when the disciples leave the upper room, they speak and everyone hears in their own tongue. Notice that God didn't get rid of the beauty of the differences and then rid of the beauty of the languages, but God created a multicultural, a oneness that was a communion and a community, not necessarily a unifying force, but a force that was to be reckoned with because of its diversity and its beauty. And then continuing in the work of the church, God continues to undo the divisions that chaos had instilled by calling us sisters and brothers and family, by calling us to be together in nations, all the way until you get to the book of Revelation, in which there's this beautiful image of worship, when all nations and all tribes and all tongues bow and worship Jesus Christ upon the throne. Going back not to just the way things were, but making it kind of like the 10,000 $100 billion man or whatever, making it better, rebuilding it to a new place, a new creation, a new earth, a new heaven. Chaos is in our lives still. When you encounter it, look for the opportunity to see places where we can do good and work towards God's kingdom, towards God's fulfillment, towards God's community, rather than continuing to allow it to divide us and to break us down. Help us be better together in Jesus. Amen.